Are we live?
We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Domains. Sorry for the late start. We were having some technology issues, and by we I mean me. But I hope everyone's having a wonderful start to your week. Dad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It feels like in the States at least that this should be Thanksgiving week, but it's not. It's the week before Thanksgiving week. But
Oh, don't remind me.
everyone started their Black Friday sales, so we need to tell everyone about the pre-Black Friday sales, including Freename's 50% off. And a lot of other places are starting to do pre-Black Friday sales.
Okay.
So whether it be domain registrations, a good time to buy your hosting for the full year, lots of deals out there, Julie.
Renewals. We saw some renewals that were low.
We did, you're right. The
So
.cfd, which are clothing, fashion, and design domain names, the first year is $1.69, but you can actually buy your second year right now at Dynadot for $5. So for under $7, you can get 2 years to have your fashion brand launched and ready to go.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah, that was a good point. I'm intrigued. If these are the pre-Black Friday deals, I wonder what the Black Friday deals are going to be.
Well, what
You
you're
got
taking advantage of is the fact that there's only so much oxygen in the room in the domain space. Each person only has so much money they may spend today. And once one company starts grabbing it with their Black Friday sales, then everyone feels like if they don't have a Black Friday sale, that they're going to not even have what they normally sell on a regular day. You know what I mean? And so it becomes so if you know what products and services you would probably buy at regular price, to be able to buy them at a discount really makes a difference. I
yeah,
think I think of
100%.
hosting and email and away from domains, a lot of the streaming services here in the US, we have all these streaming services where you have to pay separately. And this is a good time of year to get the pay the whole year, get 6 months free. Why not? Because the way
Yeah,
I look at it, Julie, you want to know how I look at it?
yeah. I want to know how you look at it, Dad.
If you give me domains for like right now, Sav has domains for $7.95 for hand registrations. That means 3 domains is $24, which is about the same as some registrars 2 domains. So it isn't that you're saving money, it's that you're buying an extra domain for the same amount of money. And who knows what that
Exactly.
could be worth in the
You
future.
never know. That could be the only one out of the three that sells, and if you didn't buy it, you would have made $0.
Right. So instead of having to choose and wonder if you picked the right one, go ahead and get more of the basket that you like for the same price.
I like it. Some solid domain knowledge. Take advantage of Black Friday sales. Personally, I will also be going to the mall, but to each their own. No. Super exciting Black Friday news. Do you know if the Freename deals have dropped yet? Do we know exactly what they're doing?
Let me go to freename.io and let's see. Dun, 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 I'm stalling here.
Dun, da, da, da.
Black Friday deal, 50% off everything, minimum spend $300.
Okay, so that's a premium TLD right there.
So yeah, so the way Freename works, who's our sponsor, thank you Freename, is they are trying to improve the domain name system in a number of ways. One of them is making available domains that aren't on the approved list of ICANN domains. So it's true that they don't work on every computer right now, but you can still get them. And not only can you get domains, you can actually own the TLD. And over time, you get 50% of the revenue from the domains you sell. So I have like .summer. And if Julie wanted to buy julie.summer and she bought it, I would get 50% of the revenue that she would pay for her domain julie.summer. And the domains don't have any renewals. And the TLDs, when you own the TLD, it doesn't have a renewal. And where this is important is a lot of domain companies will give you a teaser rate to get your domain for the first year, right, Julie? We've seen that. XYZ, $1.99. But in the future, it's $12.99 a year. So yes, you're getting the first year for a great price, but you're going to have to pay the piper later. But since free name domains and free name TLDs don't have renewals, you're just getting the half off.
It's just a one-time investment.
There you go.
And that means you can invest now and hold it because Web3 is still moving on its way up, and you're not losing anything. You're just gaining whatever the difference is, and after when Web3 takes off, because it will. Let's
the
be
TLDs,
the
TLDs are starting priced at $79, and that's for about a 8-letter or more, or if you have a name that's a combination of web's letters and numbers, like if you had Web3 wallet, maybe that might be a TLD that might just be $79. But at the same point, the other ones have premium prices. So now you can get, say, $600 of a premium price TLD, 50% off for $300. Or if you buy a domain name like in, say, .metaverse or .usa or .india, and you might get stockexchange.india, say, and that would be $20. So now you're getting it for 10. So you can buy domains at Freename at half off and TLDs, and you just have to put them in one cart, I think, and have the total be over 300.
Cool. It's a hefty chunk of change.
Yeah. But I've got some stuff to talk about tonight, Julie, and we will probably end around 7:30. So
8:30 Eastern.
8:30 Eastern. There was a big meeting last week in Istanbul, Turkey, of the group called ICANN.
Okay.
And this is
the ICANN conference was last week.
This is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. That's a long. So they, after the U.S. funded the development of the internet, they said we need to have a global body determine the rules for these domain names. And what's happened over 20 years is the technical part has worked great. The internet has not broke. Most of the decisions have been made with the consensus philosophy. Other groups like the Internet Society and the Internet Engineering Task Force have contributed data and documents. But the business side of domain names has become a huge deal, a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Okay.
And it's fell to ICANN to try to administer this and be fair. And for most people, their definition of fair is how can I take advantage of it for me? So anyway, they met this week, and in some ways, they're only being maybe 1,000 or 1,200 people representing all the countries in the world. It's not really as big a group as you might think. A lot of the panels would have 8 to 12 people on them. A lot of the meeting rooms might have 10 to 40 people in the meetings. And they're making some pretty significant decisions. But here's the big takeaways when it comes to domain names. They're still working on giving out new top-level domains in 2026. Over the course of 2025, they're going to create opportunities for underserved communities to apply and maybe get some sponsorship. So that was a big deal.
That's cool.
But over the past couple of meetings, I've been to the last 3. I didn't go to this one. I've tried to introduce the concept of a better domain system, giving people more choices and what we've called Web3 or blockchain domains. So there was a presentation this week about blockchain domains, and I think it was good because the technical team tried to educate people of some of the basics.
At least they're acknowledging that it exists now.
For instance, if they haven't been watching our show, Julie, and they didn't see our chart for the block name resolver, where instead of looking up the domain name on the ICANN root server file, you look it up on a blockchain. So they were just giving people some basic education. But here's the big takeaway. Is they said blockchain naming systems, they really don't have any authority over blockchain naming systems.
Correct.
And they said there's lots of naming systems in the world that they have no authority over. Postal codes are a naming system. that's used all over the world to send mail. They don't have to be in charge of that.
Interesting.
Phone numbers, driver's license numbers. There's all kinds of things that ICANN doesn't have to be in charge of. So if you think about the areas of the blockchain domain name systems that just have to do with Web3 and blockchain and things that ICANN doesn't even really know about, they don't supervise. So what they're concerned about is, when do these domain names intersect with the existing system? And right now, in many ways, it's just perception. They're like, oh, people are going to see these names and they're going to think. So ICANN has felt that they had to be a caretaker to protect the entire world from possibly making an uninformed decision. And that's a pretty big task, Julie.
That's a pretty big authority for only 1,000 people whenever there's...
And the board is only made up of about 18 people. And the CTO team is about 5 people. So I think they're starting to realize...
over there.
What's that?
It's a pretty concentrated group over there.
Now, they've also got $300 million in the bank.
That's a lot of bucks.
So a lot. They're not really worried about where the next paycheck's going to come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think to a certain... Yeah. So they've kind of said, we're going to keep educating. We're going to keep monitoring. And in the next round, some people that have a Web3 TLD may apply for a Web2 TLD. And finally, they said we should probably have some procedures to address that.
Hey, that's correct. Good job.
Up until now, they've pretty much said, there is no Web3, there is no Web3. You know what I mean? And they've just said, it can't be. We don't know how to process this, because they are used to there being one system of domain names, and everything based, all their authority, all their jobs, all their income, all their reason for living is based upon the fact that they control. Think how good it feels to control the one and only domain name system. And what they don't realize is they lost control of it because they stopped meeting the needs of their customers.
Well,
now they're like, what? Yeah. So that's the big takeaway, I think, is that blockchain naming systems like Freename are going to have, for good and for bad, their own world to play in. And then to the extent that Freename also is a domain name registrar, there'll be a lot of overlap. And what Freename has said is they want to be a responsible integrator within the ways that the blockchain works within the domain name system. So that's the big takeaway from the ICANN meeting.
That sounds like a good, productive weekend. There's a lot to unpack there. I'm very interested to see how it's going to go. So I'm glad.
I got some gossip for you too, Julie.
Yeah.
How important do you think a domain name is when it comes to printing it on packages of toys?
Quite, because then you have to know where to go buy more from that brand.
Yes. So there's a movie coming out called Wicked.
Really?
And the people who made the boxes for the toys just assume that they own Wicked.com. They did not. Don't type it in. It is a not safe for work site. And they published it.
Children going to a not safe for work site?
And they published it on their packaging for these characters for Wicked. So let's see. I sent you the article. Let me just see. Oh, my email's frozen.
I'm gonna go to it, and you guys aren't gonna look.
No, don't go to it.
Is it really that bad?
I don't know. I didn't go to it.
Oh, I'm not old enough.
Let's see.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah. So Domain Insight, which is a really Domain Insight says. It says, toy maker Mattel had to apologize after accidentally printing the domain name of a porn site on the packaging of dolls designed for little girls. Anyway, the movie's actual website is wickedmovie.com. and they say that they deeply regret this unfortunate error.
It was
They've
Mattel
yanked
too.
all the toys from retailers, which I assume is going to make the ones that have this on them that don't
Rare
get.
and valuable.
What's that?
It's gonna make him rare and valuable.
Yeah. So anyway, but
Oh
that is
my goodness.
so when people say domains don't matter, say, well, if you make a mistake with your domain, it could cost you millions of dollars.
Okay, also, we've got to talk about this is not Mattel's first time having an issue like this. Like,
Oh,
who is
really?
on their PR team? Because it's bad.
So that was pretty good. And the
For
other
little
thing I
kids.
sent you, the other thing I sent you, Julie, before we finish up, is eBay has an interesting had an interesting promotion. Let me find it. Let me just look. This was on Domain Insight also. It says they've launched a television and radio advertising campaign featuring a slogan that looks like a domain name. And the new slogan is things.people.love.
That'd be a really terrible domain name.
Can you see that now?
Is this safe for work?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Hedgehog got two. Two of the dolls.
Oh, wow. Hedgehog, man, you are on top of it. Look at that.
What?
So this one is, it's eBay, and it says things.people.love. And we talked about this a couple months ago when we talked about booking.yeah, that the dot has become part of our culture. And so many times when you think about domains that are digital identities, even if they're not part of the ICANN system, you're at least buying something like in Web3 that you can say you own to the extent that it gives you that credibility. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but there is a .love TLD.
Right.
And if you could own people.love, when you own what's called a second level domain, Julie, people.love, you control everything to the left of it. So you could create, like you've done this when you go to Wix or Weebly and they say, you know, what domain do you want to use? You could type in things.people.love if you own people.love. So anyway, just an interesting thing.
I'm guessing you know research that I'm actively doing, but
so
people
anyway,
love.
Just a couple of instances where the real world and domains. Look at Hedgehog, man. They're collectibles now. I love it.
He's right. Like, that's insane. That's going to be such a good prop for the domain industry. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that.
Now, I have had people contact me before to buy a domain when they've said we've sent out marketing materials and we need to buy the name.
Oh, that means you put the price up.
I actually don't. I say this was the price before and this is the price after. I'm not going to give you a discount, but I'm not going to raise it. You know what I mean? Only because the price was published. Now, if it was not published, then you have some flexibility, you know, but for me, I still think it's better, you know. So anyway, but
karma does always come back around. And
it wasn't a public marketing campaign. It was like, you know, we're inviting people to an offsite for our company or something like that. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't necessarily.
If it's Amazon, all's fair in love and war.
There you go.
All's fair in love and domain names when your company is worth $1 billion.
There you go.
We got a question from More Than SEO.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
If all Freename SLDs on TLDs we own all share the same smart contract ID for token gated communities, is there anything else we can do to leverage that ID in people's wallets to add more value?
Well, it's a great question, and I hate to say the answer to the question is the question. And what I mean by that is it's open to see who can create other things to leverage that value. And what I mean by that is some of the biggest things in internet marketing right now are gamification and play to earn, and different ways where I know, Julie, you go to a certain app every morning to play a certain game.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I have the subscription to the premium New York Times to play my Wordle every single morning. It got me, and I'm even LinkedIn.
But I think the future and what you're going to see from some of Freename's offerings, sneak peek, is ways where you can interact and you earn points and things like that. And I think people are looking for that type of engagement. I know, Julie, there's sites that are like how to make a $10 an hour from your phone. You know what I mean?
Like the solitaire games app. I used to play competitive solitaire for money.
There you go. So, but this would be you just agree to see some ads. So I think that like I was thinking this morning, this exact question, SEO. I was thinking, what if I had a TLD or just a domain name that had somehow the word daily, like checkdaily.metaverse, so that people would go every day to check, whether they were checking on news, whether they were checking on something. And the reason I always remember this is in 1988.
Back when you were a boy.
I was on the internet. And I was on a service called America Online. And they had a company called Motley Fool, which is still around and is one of the biggest investment advising firms. And they would have contests every day. I'll never forget it. And this is what they use to engage people to get on their part of America Online, is they would say, okay, IBM's coming out with their earnings announcement tomorrow. What do you think the IBM earnings are going to be? And then you put in your guess. So you had to go to find out the question. Then you had to put in your guess. Then you had to come back the next day to see if you were right. And then they would rank all the people for that month as to how well you were doing. And then at the end of the month, they would award a prize. But you wanted to know how well you compare against everyone else, right, Julie? You want to know.
I check my link because LinkedIn has games too, and they rank you against other universities, and I do check that daily.
But I think that that's the future of cost-free market. People are willing to give up a little of their time, a little of their attention, maybe even give you a couple likes and follows and retweets or something in exchange for an experience. And I think that if we could ever wind that into the contract or the wallet or the Web3 or stuff like that, that's where the future is. And it's out there for the taking. I don't know how to program a smart contract, but I just think of the people in the biographies I've read about people that came up with stuff. And it's just a matter of having an open, empty desk and saying, all right, how are we going to figure this out? And you make small incremental steps along the way. So I would just encourage everyone to be creative. But anyway, so big news. Freename has a Black Friday coupon. ICANN meeting has given us the green light. They're mentioning blockchain domain names. We are not ostracized.
We're not stealing from ICANN.
We're not. They know that the existing domain name system, that's what I think people are going to start calling it, ICANN manages the domain name system, but it doesn't mean they manage all domains. And so that's what we'll take away. And then next Monday night, we'll try to have more Black Friday deals. But right now, the best place to register a domain name that I know of is SAV, S-A-V, if you want to get multiple domains. I think some companies will have a one only or a four only price that could be under $6. So $6 this year, you could maybe turn that into $6,000. Do your own research. Most domains that you buy aren't going to be worth it, but it's out there. It's out there. And that's the power of domaining. See you, Julie.
All right, everybody. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Please drop your favorite names you've acquired or are wanting to sell in the comments below. And we will see you guys next Monday, 7:30 Central, 8:30. Just kidding. Wow, I messed that up.
That's okay.
7 Central, 8 Eastern on Monday Night Domain.